Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. And two games out of three have been played in this T20I series between India and Sri Lanka. And the third game is taking place tomorrow in the Saurashtra Cricket Association Stadium in Rajkot. And in this video, I'll be previewing how I think tomorrow's game will go, as well as giving my views on who should take what decision if they win the toss, for example. And yeah, let's get into the preview. So to start things off, I think there is a notion that this venue is a batting-friendly venue. There are more than a few instances to suggest this. For example, two IPL games come to mind. The first of them being in 2016, where both Virat Kohli and AB de Villiers scored centuries against the Gujarat Lions, and also KKR against the same opposition in 2017, where they completed an 184 without lost chase, and that was achieved by Gautam Gambhir and Chris Lynn. And there have been four T20Is that have been played at this venue, and that's where, in my view, the scales do kind of even out, and that there are possibilities that you could have mid to low, or at least mid-scoring games at this venue. And in 2013, there was a game between India and Australia where India chased down 200 and something to win, courtesy of a brilliant 77 of 35 from Yuvraj Singh. And in other games, there was also a game where India chased down 150 odd against Bangladesh at this venue a few years ago. They lost to New Zealand when trying to chase down 197, I think, in 2017. And recently they beat South Africa by 82 runs when they posted 169 runs on the board after a late innings surge from Hardik Pandya and Dinesh Karthik, who rescued the innings for India. And the conditions by then meant that it was going to be a tough chase for South Africa, and it did prove to be an extremely tough one. In the end, they were bowled out for 87 on the day. So I think those four games have shown, especially the recent one between India and South Africa, have shown that it can go both ways at this venue. I do think the side that wins the toss should look to bat first. I think whether it is a batting friendly surface on the day or kind of a surface with a bit of grip, for example, where with the spinners that both these sides have, they could kind of cause difficulties for the opposition. But I think, like we saw in the India versus South Africa game a few months ago, I think it was in June, where India were 81 for 4 in 13.5 overs. But some two very good innings from Hardik Pandya and Dinesh Karthik got them to the 169, where it was very difficult for South Africa to chase things down. And that's why if you bat first, regardless, you do have that hope where if we get just about enough, that 150, 160 will be a very good score. And then we can, we have the attack to cause difficulties for the opposition. And I do think if it is more of a batting-friendly wicket, then India wouldn't really mind chasing anyway. I thought that if you looked at the latest game in both disciplines, with the 7 no balls that they bowled, and with the bat in both these games and not putting themselves in the greatest of situations in the first few overs, and the innings was successfully rescued in the first game, and in the context of things, what 190 runs still after 21 for 3 is a brilliant recovery. And I think that, yes, they still lost the game, but I still think that they will be taking positives from that game into this one about how close they got. But I think India wouldn't mind chasing a big score if the conditions are good. I wouldn't really say the same about Sri Lanka. I think depending on, regardless of how the surface plays, they would be looking to bat first if they win the toss. And if you're looking at the Sri Lankan batting order, for example, the reason why I'm saying that is if you look at the top four, Charita Solanka, last game, yes, he played quite well, and they've backed him despite the fact that he hasn't really been in great form in this format for a while. Patham Nissanka plays a few good innings here and there, but for example, I think at times his strike rate does get found wanting, but I think when he hits the straps, he is quite a good player to watch. So they can still rely on him, in my view, along with Kusal Vendis. But you've got Bhanuka Rajapaksa, who's averaged 15 and struck at 115 in his last few T20 games, I think last few T20I games. And he's a player who I think this entire Sri Lankan batting lineup in subcontinental conditions, you think they can bring the best out of themselves. But yet you rarely ever see a player of Bhanuka Rajapaksa's quality, get to 30, which I'm very surprised that he hasn't done that. And I think they will be relying on him tomorrow, especially if the batting conditions are good. So really, it's Kusal Mendes, Dasun Shanaka, and Hasaranga, along with Chamika Karunaratne. So there are a few players they want more from with the bat, and for India as well. I think Ishan Kishan, I've said this before, he kind of just looks to swing at everything, really, in terms of, yes, he has a reputation to give that impact at the top, that slam bang approach, but in reality, a player that doesn't look to kind of just slog at every ball ends up scoring quicker than him, even though they don't have that reputation. So I think that's something that he's going to have to think of as well. And I think if it is a batting friendly wicket, it will hold him in better stead than, of course, if it isn't. And yeah, I think that if Sri Lanka do bat first, for example, and get to 150, 160, and with what this Indian lineup has shown in this first two games, and if they do play the same side, I don't think you can rely on Shivam Mavi if the surface is a bit tacky and has something for the bowlers. So effectively, they have batting down to number 7, and if they kind of don't do themselves much good in terms of the first few wickets, like they have done in the first two games of this series, then Sri Lanka do have a chance. So let's see how that game goes. But I do think India will be the team that's more able to contend with things, no matter what the surface is, no matter where they bowl or bat first. Whereas for Sri Lanka, I do think that they would probably have to bat first to win the game. But yeah, let's see how that goes. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, please share it with a friend. Remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?